Competing for her is weakness. When a man tries to win a woman by competing, he loses something far more valuable, his dignity. She may have 10 unread messages from men offering dinners, vacations, compliments, and promises. But when your name appears and she actually pauses, breathes, and replies, it's not because you're the loudest or most persistent. It's because you're different, you're not chasing, you're not auditioning, you're anchored. And that quiet strength is what sets you apart. Modern men have been conditioned to believe that effort equals value. They think if they send enough texts, buy enough flowers, or give enough attention, they'll be chosen. But that mindset doesn't lead to connection, it leads to submission. It turns a man into an applicant waiting for approval while she plays the role of CEO. And when you beg to be noticed, you become just another face in the crowd, one easily dismissed and forgotten. What most men don't realize is this: the moment you start bending your schedule, your tone, your habits, and your passions to improve your odds with her, you've already disqualified yourself. You've stepped down from your throne, trading your purpose for her validation. That is not strength. That is self-abandonment. She doesn't choose the man who tries the hardest. She chooses the one who makes her feel chosen, not because he needs her, but because he allows her in. And the truth is, the more you try to earn her with visible effort, the more you inflate her ego. Giving her power she hasn't earned, she'll begin to test you not consciously but instinctively. Shorter texts, canceled plans, longer response times just to see if you react. And every time you take the bait, her attraction drops. You don't lose because you did something wrong. You lose because you became predictable and easy to manipulate. A man's energy is his currency. When you spend all of it trying to impress her, you end up emotionally and spiritually bankrupt. She doesn't want your effort, she wants your identity. The man who remains centered in his path, who doesn't break routine for her attention, becomes the one she respects. Chasing is not love, it's a performance. And the man who refuses to compete isn't cold, he's just focused. And that focus is exactly what makes him unforgettable. Detachment is irresistible. There is a reason she forgets the men who message her every morning but never forgets the one who walked away in silence. It is not about playing hard to get. It is about not needing to be gotten. A man who is genuinely at peace, who no longer needs validation to feel worthy, becomes untouchable. Not because he suppresses emotions, but because he controls where he places them. A man who wakes up to check his goals, not his phone, sends a clear message. He is not waiting for her attention. He is building something bigger than her approval. That is what makes him rare. Every time you feel the urge to double text or check her story, ask yourself why. What are you hoping to feel? If her response fills a void inside you, then you are not interested in her, you are looking for distraction. And she knows it. She can sense when a man is desperate. She feels it in the way you reply too quickly, explain too much, or cancel plans too easily. Detachment is not the absence of care. It is the presence of direction. When a man is deeply grounded in purpose, his absence is not loud, but it is felt. His emotional control does not come from pretending. It comes from genuine fulfillment. He has so much momentum in his life that her moods, her delays, and even her silence do not shake him. And that is where true attractiveness is born. When your presence carries weight not from effort but from inner stability, she leans in. Not because you tried to win her, but because her curiosity betrays her. She begins to wonder, why isn't he reacting? Why doesn't he chase? Why do I want his attention more now that he's not giving it? You become a mystery. Not because you are withholding, but because you are deeply invested in your mission. Most men abandon their focus for the chance to be liked. You do the opposite. You stay loyal to your purpose. Detachment is not cruelty. It is clarity. It is self-respect. It is choosing discipline over desire. And that is why she will chase you in silence while pretending not to care. Because deep down she knows every man gave her attention, but only one made her wonder. Mystery beats attention. There is a reason she forgets the guy who texts her good morning every day, but loses sleep thinking about the one who barely said a word and still lingers in her mind for months. It is not about how much you say. It is about what she feels when you say nothing at all. A man who gives constant attention becomes background noise, but a man who creates intentional space becomes unforgettable. It is not the silence that captures her. It is the depth behind it. She knows what it looks like when a man's time is up for grabs. She is used to the flood of compliments, the constant validation, the men trying to be the funniest, the most charming, the most agreeable. But the man who embraces silence, who does not try to fill every moment with words, becomes a mystery, and that unknown is what draws her in. He is the one she tells her friends about, the one she cannot quite figure out, the one who didn't adjust himself to fit her mood but stayed grounded in his own energy. It is not arrogance, it is discipline, it is focus, it is depth. She starts thinking more about him after the conversation ends than during it. His presence does not fade when he stops talking, it echoes. Why? Because he didn't show all his cards. He didn't hand over his soul in exchange for approval. He held back just enough for her to earn more of him. And that is the difference between being liked and being remembered. If you want to stand out, do not overexpose yourself. Do not treat your presence like a social media feed. Let her wonder. Let her ask questions. There is a space between being emotionally available and being emotionally exposed. Too many men confuse the two. You do not need to constantly explain yourself. You do not have to be reachable every hour. You need to move with intention and allow your silence to speak. Because in those pauses, her mind starts to ask questions. And questions lead to fascination. Mystery is not a game. It is a reflection of a life already full. Be the man she cannot easily read, because the man who cannot be figured out becomes the one she cannot forget. Build a life she can't disrupt. If you want her attention, build a life that cannot be shaken. If you want her loyalty, become someone she cannot interrupt. There is nothing more powerful, nothing more magnetic than a man whose life is already full, not with women, but with purpose, discipline, and direction. When your days are packed with progress, your time becomes valuable. It becomes something she must earn, not something you give away. That shift changes everything. Because the truth is, women test men not to hurt them, but to sense their strength. And the moment you pause your goals, your growth, or your routine for her, she knows she has more power than you. You think it is romantic to cancel plans for her. You think you are being thoughtful when you skip the gym, miss your meditation, or stop working on your dreams just to keep her interested. But what you are really doing is sending a message: she is now your purpose. And that message costs you everything. No woman wants to become the center of your world. She wants to be invited into a world already built, a world made of discipline, of habits, of energy that does not slow down when she enters. When your life is so structured, so intentional, and so alive, she feels lucky to be included. Not because you tried to impress her, but because you didn't try at all. If your entire identity is shaped around her needs, her moods, and her reactions, you are not leading, you are following. You become a placeholder for the man who actually has vision. Wake up earlier. Train until your body becomes a weapon. Break your goals into micro-targets and execute them with urgency. Live like your legacy depends on it, because it does. A man who waits for approval to begin building his empire never finishes it. She might enjoy your attention for a while, but she will never stay in a life she can control. What keeps her is a life that keeps moving with or without her. Let her witness your rhythm. Let her feel the pull of your momentum. And when she tries to step in, do not stop the music. Let her find her own steps or leave the dance. Either way, the rhythm continues. Talk to her mind, not her body. She has heard the words "you're beautiful" so many times they barely register. They blend into the background like static noise. They don't excite her. They don't move her. Not because she's cold, but because most men are lazy with their words, with their attention, with their depth. They see what's easy to see. They compliment her dress, her smile, her photos, but she already knows what she looks like. She knows the effect she has when she walks into a room. What she doesn't know, what she rarely hears, is who actually sees her beneath the surface. The men who stop at her appearance never touch her core. But the man who notices the pause in her voice, the weight behind her sarcasm, the story in her silence, that man creates a different kind of connection. He sees the contradictions in her, the strength behind the softness, the courage beneath the control, and he speaks to that. Telling her she's attractive won't make her remember you. Telling her that her eyes look like she's been holding things together for people who never said thank you, that will make her stop. That will make her lean in. Because now you're not complimenting her beauty, you're honoring her experience. Most men don't even try to understand a woman. They try to please her, but pleasing her doesn't make you memorable. Seeing her does. Asking what she believes in, what keeps her up at night, what dream she gave up on, that is what makes you different. You're not there to impress. You're there to understand. You don't need perfect lines, you need presence. Pay attention when she speaks. Does her laugh cover something deeper? Does her confidence hide old wounds? When you learn to feel without touching, to hear what's not said, to see who she is without asking her to prove it, you become irreplaceable. She won't always tell you, but she'll feel it. She'll feel seen. And that's something she doesn't forget. Forget chasing her beauty. Reflect her truth. That is how you stop being one of many and become the one she still thinks about when the room is silent. Scarcity creates obsession. When a man is always around, he starts to fade into the background. But the man who is rare, hard to reach, and hard to understand becomes unforgettable. Not because he is playing games, but because his time and focus are sacred. He doesn't disappear to provoke her. He disappears because his purpose demands his full attention. She notices when you do not reply instantly. She feels the difference when your presence isn't predictable. Your absence, when rooted in purpose and not manipulation, creates weight. It makes her pause. It creates space where her curiosity begins to grow, and curiosity is what drives obsession. Every man is available. Every man is eager to be seen. But you are in motion. You are building something. Your time isn't scattered. It is invested. You are not rude. You are disciplined. You're not flaky. You are focused. That is what separates you from the rest. When you stop chasing every text, when you stop explaining your every move just to keep her interested, you shift the balance. You stop feeding her ego and start feeding her imagination. She doesn't need more men flooding her with attention. She needs one man she can't figure out. One man who doesn't orbit her world. And when you vanish, not in bitterness, but in peace, she starts to notice the absence. She rereads your words. She replays your voice. She wonders why you left without begging, and that silence, that lack of drama, speaks louder than anything you could have said. Scarcity is not about being cold. It is about being committed to something greater than constant validation. In a world that rewards exposure, the man who values his energy becomes rare, and rare men leave an imprint. You don't need to disappear to manipulate. You need to protect your presence like a treasure. When you are unavailable to nonsense, to distractions, to anything that doesn't serve your mission, you become the man she cannot stop thinking about. Not because you tried to make her miss you, but because your absence revealed your value. Be the man who appears with depth and disappears with dignity. That man isn't just remembered, he is never replaced. Emotionally grounded men win. There is a rare strength in a man who refuses to be shaken. A calm so deep that no mood test or reaction from the outside world can pull him off center. When a woman meets that kind of energy, she does not just notice it, she respects it. She leans in not out of fear, but out of fascination. Most men lose themselves the moment a woman pulls away. They panic, they overtext, they explain, apologize, and bend just to win her back. But the emotionally grounded man does not move unless he chooses to. He does not react out of fear. He does not explain himself to be validated. He knows who he is, and he stands on that foundation. She is used to men who collapse at the first sign of pressure. She is used to men who chase her approval with every word and gesture. But when she tests you, and she will, it is not because she wants to destroy you. It is because she wants to trust you. And trust is earned through consistency, not desperation. The man who holds his peace in the middle of chaos becomes magnetic. His silence speaks louder than arguments. His stillness creates gravity. He does not need to prove his strength by raising his voice. He proves it by refusing to be broken. He allows space. If she pulls away, he does not chase. If she grows distant, he does not panic. His world does not fall apart just because she is unsure. And if she leaves, he lets her. Not because he does not care, but because his peace matters more than her approval. This kind of control is not about bottling emotion. It is about understanding it. It is knowing when to express and when to remain still. It is mastering your response, not suppressing your truth. And in that emotional mastery, she finds something she didn't even know she needed: stability. She starts to crave your energy because it does not shift with the wind. She starts to trust you because you are not moved by her storms. That man becomes her anchor, not because he dominates, but because he never loses himself. That is the man who wins, not through force, through presence, through calm, through power rooted in discipline. Be the experience no one else can offer. She doesn't stay for the compliments. She doesn't stay for the money, the gifts, or the charming messages. What makes her stay is the experience. Most men never learn how to offer one. They copy what they think works. They follow scripts, mimic trends, and say what they believe she wants to hear. But what she truly remembers is not a line, it is a feeling. You don't become unforgettable by trying to impress her. You become unforgettable by being real, by turning your life into something so full, so grounded, so alive that being in your presence shifts her energy. That's what makes you different. Not the effort to stand out, but the energy you naturally carry. She won't remember every dinner or conversation, but she will remember how she felt around you, the stillness you brought, the calm in your voice, the way you looked at her and saw more than what she shows the world. You didn't just see her face, you saw her pattern, her fears, her fire, and you weren't afraid to reflect it back. That's what sets you apart. You didn't just flirt, you created safety. You didn't just entertain her, you challenged her. You didn't follow her lead. You made her slow down and see herself. And when a woman feels something new in your presence, something she can't find anywhere else, she doesn't forget it. The truth is, she doesn't crave another charming man. She craves an awakening. She wants to be seen without masks, heard without noise, and touched without pressure. And most men are too busy seeking attention to offer that kind of depth. But you are not most men. You are not trying to be liked. You are building a world so rich in clarity, peace, and direction that she doesn't just want to visit it, she wants to belong to it. And if she can't find that experience again, she will compare everyone to you. Because you are not just a man. You are a mirror, a moment, a presence. And presence leaves a trace, not on her body, but on her memory. And that's what makes you unforgettable. If you're tired of feeling like you have to prove your worth just to be noticed, it's time to shift your focus inward. The strongest men are not the loudest or the most visible. They are the ones who live with purpose, protect their peace, and never beg for attention. Instead of chasing her, chase your goals. Build a life so full of discipline, progress, and direction that she has to rise to meet you, not the other way around. Detachment is not indifference, it's emotional strength. It means you care, but you care about yourself first. Stop adjusting your path to gain someone's interest. The right person will recognize your value without needing you to explain it. Create space. Let your silence speak. Let your absence be felt. Don't rush to reply, explain, or prove. Move with intention and allow your energy to become rare. When you hold back just enough, you invite curiosity, and curiosity creates connection far deeper than flattery ever will. Speak to her mind, not just her appearance. Notice what others miss. Ask better questions. Be the man who doesn't just touch her, but reaches her. When you do this, you stop being one of many and become the one she remembers. In a world full of men performing for validation, be the one who builds his own rhythm and never breaks it for anyone. That is how you gain respect, attract loyalty, and live a life that commands attention without ever needing to chase it. Choose control. Choose clarity. And most of all, choose yourself, because the man who leads himself is the only one truly capable of leading others.